So in today's video, I want to talk about why smart people make bad decisions when it comes to their careers. I've been guilty of this. I've seen loads of people make these kind of mistakes, and I think it's worth talking about it. And in particular, I want to talk about why smart people make bad decisions in mid-career. So, the first thing I would say is that I think a lot of people are navigating their careers based on an old operating system where, we're currently in 2026, people are still operating as if we're in 2016 or 2006. And the reality is that the world of work has changed massively. And you might not feel it if you haven't really changed jobs or you haven't really had to engage with the job market. But if you've had to engage with the job market, you really feel the pain that comes from the change in the market and your lack of awareness. So, the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to why smart people make bad decisions is, in addition to operating from an old operating system, is that people tend to over index on brand names. I've seen it happen where people stay in a company because the brand name of the company is strong, but they're in the wrong job. They don't fit the culture. They don't like the colleagues that they work with. But because the brand name is strong, they stay with the company because they'd rather be in the company in the wrong job with a strong brand name than in a better job with a company with less of a brand name. And increasingly, I think that the brand name is definitely important in this year. Working at OpenAI or Anthropic is an amazing thing to have on your resume. However, it's not everything, and not everybody is going to have, the best jobs. And so it's important that you're true to yourself, you're honest with yourself, and you ask yourself if you're staying in a company because of the brand name rather than, how great the job is. The second thing I'd say that people do when it comes to brand name is with respect to their job search, where they're, focused on trying to get into the top companies in their industry, whether it's the investment banks or the hedge funds or the trading firms or whatever, right? Tech firms. And you find that whenever I'm advising people on their job search strategy, I'm like, you've got to have the premium names on there, you've got to have the mid-tier names, and you've got to have quote unquote lower tier names. And that's just to enable you to be able to hedge and to enable you to be able to really kind of test what it is you're looking for. Because actually, sometimes the companies at the bottom of your list might give you more of what you're looking for. And so it's just to give yourself an optimal opportunity to be able to make a really informed decision when it comes to your job search. The other area that I think a lot of mid-career professionals get it wrong when it comes to thinking about their careers is still this assumption that they're going to have a linear career trajectory. I'll have conversations with people frustrated that their manager didn't put them up for, a promotion or that they've been loyal to their company and worked there for 9 years and still they were overlooked for someone else who got promoted and they feel that, after having had X number of years of experience, they should be at the next level. And the reality is that things don't happen that way in the corporate sphere. We all know that it's not just about the effort you put in and the results you get. It's also about the relationships that you have. It's also about your interpersonal skills. And so it's really important that, I always say to people, have your main gig, but always have a side gig. Always invest in yourself. Always take ownership of your own progression. And if you find that you're not able to do it within your current organization, be prepared to look externally and push your career forward and push yourself forward. Sometimes, if you've been seen in a certain role within an organization, people just can't imagine you doing something different. And so it's very difficult. You typically have to leave that company to, form a brand new image of yourself and to be viewed differently. So, I think if you're mid-career and you're currently sort of expecting linear progression, or you think that your loyalty to an employer or to your boss counts for something, sorry to break it to you, it's not as important as you think it is. You've got to kind of take ownership of everything that it is that you're doing. The other thing that I think a lot of people get wrong when it comes to mid-career is, um, feeling that the biggest thing that they should index on is compensation. And yes, compensation is very important. Your salary is important. None of us is a charity. But the reality is that that's not the only thing that matters. We see increasingly that a lot of the tech firms, a lot of the investment banks are asking people to work from the office 5 days a week. And we know that for a lot of people, especially if you're an ethnic minority, it affects your mental state, it affects the quality of your life, the flexibility that we all enjoyed during COVID, being able to pick and drop off our children at school, do stuff in the home, do some deep work without being distracted by colleagues chatting all the time. A lot of those gains were lost in some of these bigger companies. And so, just be aware that yes, compensation is important, but if you're comparing competing offers, for example, I'd encourage you to look at the career trajectory, consider the culture and environment, consider flexibility, consider additional benefits and additional areas of value to your life that you can get from both jobs before making a decision. Granted, right, there's always a tension point beyond which the compensation is really significant. For some people it's 20K, for some it's 50, 100K. So I understand that completely, but especially if you're comparing offers where the difference in compensation isn't that significant to how you live, then I'd say you've got to definitely weigh other factors. So I hope that's kind of helped if you're mid-career and you're in a situation where, you feel that maybe you haven't made the right choices or the choices were right initially, but they're no longer right. Not that you need permission from me, but if it counts for anything, I want to give you permission to acknowledge where you are and to start thinking about how you can navigate out of the situation that you're in. So thank you for watching. Definitely like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and see you in the next video.